Hi everybody, another nice warm sunny day here in Arizona. We had a monsoon come through here a couple days ago, and in 20 minutes I gained 400 gallons of water. I like that, but with the way the monsoons are, they also come with really high winds, and this one came out of the east and blew right in. I have a low spot over there that fills up with water, which is not good. So probably won't use those concrete guys again, but it blew in. I don't know if you can see like the stain on the floor. I had water, everything, the chairs were where I'm standing were wet. Even some of my tool bags and stuff were damp. So got it was blowing halfway into the building. Like I said, it comes in horizontal. So I've definitely got to get the doors on here. And I'm sorry about the exposure because I'm looking out at bright sun, but what I've been trying to do, going back and forth about putting the doors on the inside or the outside. If I put them on the outside, I got to figure out a way to do flashing. And between the J channels and the ribs and everything else, flashing on the outside would be a real major pain. On the inside, it means the water hitting the door is going to drip onto the inside. And I've got to deal with the ribs. This is the metal that's going to be the door. I got to deal with those ribs. It's about 3/4 of an inch. But I decided I'm going to put the doors on the inside. The opening is 16 feet long, and I'm making doors that are 9 feet because that's what works out with these 3-foot panels. So it's going to have an overlap, which will help keep the rain from, hopefully, it'll keep the rain from coming in. The walls on either side of the door are 10 foot, so they'll be able to get the door completely out of the way. And it might make it a little easier securing it. We'll see either way. So I decided that's what I was going to do. Now, how to attach. I'm doing sliding doors, and you'll understand why there's so many 4x4s here. Is the doors ride on this kind of a track on these wheels, and the tracks hang up on this kind of a hanger. The ribs, 4x4s are 3 1/4. The actual studs up here are 3 inches, so I gain 1/4 inch. I gain a little bit here. The way that those wheels are, I can adjust them so that they end up being, I can pick up that 3/4 of an inch. So the ribs are not going to be a problem on the inside, but I don't know if you can see on either side of the door, the way this building is put together, there's nothing to attach it to. That's why the 4x4s. So what I'm doing is, I don't know if you can see it against the glare, but I've got a 4x4. I'm going up through there and I'm bolting them down to the header. So the center ones are just going to be bolted down. The ones on either side, I'm going to put in using angle brackets, top and bottom, and just to make sure that it's they're really tied together, I'm putting these plates across. They'll go across the beam, screwed to the beam with the self-tapping screws, and attached to the to the either the 4x4s on either side. So that's my project today, is trying to get those beams up and get them level, and get them in there. Luckily, I did buy that big tall step ladder that can be an extension ladder, but in this case, a step ladder. I gotta move the storage rack on both sides. I gotta move them out of the way. Yeah, so it's a project. It's today. I'll take you along. Probably just gonna be a time lapse of me doing all this. Just because you don't really, I mean, do you really need to see me cut 4x4s and measure and put them in place? If I come up against anything, I will definitely be able to tell you. But this is going to be a multi-day project. So this is just part one, is doing that, and I'll have to get somebody, give me a hand putting the rails up. Getting the doors onto the rails is going to be another thing. So I can't put the rails all the way across, but I can put 2 of them up, and then get the doors on those, and then put the 3rd one up. So anyway, to the time lapse for part 1 of me doing the doors, and we'll see how the video goes. I mean, you may see more than just me doing this stuff. I don't know if you caught it in the time lapse, but I was pre-drilling the holes. Now the bolts that I'm using, going through here, and the header on the door is 3 inches thick, and a little gap because there's screws. So obviously these bolts aren't long enough to go all the way through, and I'm too cheap to go buy more bolts. So I'm countersinking them and using a Forstner bit, which is a kind of, it does a flat bottom. I'm going in that far down through, and then after that, follow it up with this nice long bit to go down through here. Then when I put it up there, I can definitely have it clamped up there. You probably might have been able to see it, but that gives me a nice accurate spot where I'm driving it down through. The downside is the nut is going in that deep and trying to get it lined up on this, and you can't see past my big fat fingers. So sometimes I'm up there a little while, but only got 2 more to go, and then we switch to the angle iron ones. So anyway, I get drill these holes and get this one up. I took it slow this morning. Obviously, I got 1 up out of the 2 I wanted to do up there today. Hey, the sun was shining in there. It was hot. I was talking. One of those 2 slowed me down. Gonna go with the talking part. Those who know me believe that. So, and I'm going 18 inches in just because it gives me sort of a good spot. In case you wonder, the tape is just a depth gauge, and if you wonder where to get these, I bought them at Harbor Freight. So you can buy expensive ones. This is my second set from Harbor Freight. The first ones lasted me 25 years before they started getting to the point where they were too dull to use. But for some reason, they stopped selling them in wooden cases. I don't know. Michelle just told me it looked a little crooked. That's why I'm drilling them down here and following up there. So if they're crooked, they still match up. Yes, it probably makes it a little more difficult to get the nut on, but now it's nice with this bit, that little point, and this gives me a center point for where this one's got to go. I sort of find it interesting is that back east, 4x4s, they're almost all pressure treated. Here in Arizona, they're all cedar. So hey, it's not like there's a lot of water in the ground to rot them. All right, I'm gonna get this one up. I got the last piece up there. Took me a few days, but hey, I'm not in a hurry. And I don't like working on the ladders anyway. But more future ladder work, because now I got to get these rails up. So these hangers are supposed to be every 2 feet. Most of them have these little set screws. A couple of them don't. No big deal. I'll just make sure the ones that don't are in there. And then they get attached to those 4x4s with these lag bolts. But even with the set screws, these things do not, they do not move, they do not slide easy, so I got to get a hammer and tap them into place. So then I'll get the set screws down, latch them in, and then I got to figure out how to get them up there. So let me get a hammer and we'll get to that. Well, as you can see, I'm going to be having lots of fun here. I'm not going to subject you to all that banging. Just so you know is that not this end, but the other end is where the next rail, there's 3 rails to go across. And what I'm going to do is I will put it on halfway, clamp it down, the second one will fit in and clamp it down. I think that's going to be the best way to go. There's actually a hole here that would line up with halfway so that it'll definitely latch in So here we go. So if you're wondering why I was using the channel locks to bend them, in the box, in shipping, bouncing around in Lowe's where I got these, some of these got pinched, some worse than others. So I got to get them straightened out, big enough to fit. So adapt and modify, or is that a modify and adapt? This is going to be the fun part. Is I'm going to anchor this side and then that side. Hopefully I can do this by myself. That's one end. Now, I use a level to get the other end in. At least that's the idea. I don't have, that first one I didn't put it in tight. It's almost all the way in. So I'm not fighting the friction. good enough. Now I'll get the rest of these in. Okay, so I got one rail up. I'm going to stage it for tomorrow because I think, because this has got to go in the other one and it is into the doorway, I think what I'm going to do is pull the bus around, pull the bus inside here just a little bit, and that'll give me a platform to work on instead of me balancing on the ladder. I mean, I'm still going to use the ladder, but so yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.